Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the THW News and Rumors Rundown. My name is Jim Parsons. I'm here with thehockeyraiders.com. It is May 8th today, Saturday. Not very much left in the regular season for the NHL. Playoffs are starting to get clearer and clearer. Most people have clinched at this point. Those that haven't are looking at maybe some off-season changes, but we're going to focus most of this video on the New York Rangers. There's a lot of news coming out of that organization after the incidents that happened with Tom Wilson and Artemi Panarin and Pavel Buchnevich, and then the firings, all that stuff. So they're going to be the focus of our video today. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Here's the story. So Tom Wilson was fined $5,000 by the NHL's Department of Player Safety for hitting Pavel Buchnevich when his head was on the ice. He'd pinned him down with a stick, kind of taking a shot at him. The scrum that ensued afterwards, as players were trying to get him off of Buchnevich, resulted in Wilson sort of ragdolling and throwing around Artemi Panarin, who was injured. He's out of the rest of the season. There was no suspension on the play, fined $5,000. The NHL's Department of Player Safety, George Peros, was the one who decided on that. So there's lots of talk because the NHL is super unhappy with George Peros' decision. The players are not real sure if there's any consistencies. What's the suspension? What isn't a suspension? Fans are all going crazy. Media's going nuts. Peros has talked about his decision, and he said Gary Bettman is not a part of his decision-making process, so he was not aware of what the suspension would be. And he said, look, I'll quit. Like, if people don't think I'm doing a good job, if the players don't think I can do it, and the GMs think I'm incapable, because the Rangers released a statement saying they wanted him fired, which then, of course, caused John Davidson and Jeff Gorton, the president and GM of the Rangers, to be terminated by James Dolan because they weren't huge fans of the fact that a statement was released by the Rangers asking for Peros to be terminated. They were let go. Chris Jury has come in. He's now the new GM. There's all sorts of talk about changes happening in New York, that they were not a fan of the fact that their team wasn't physical enough to respond to the Washington Capitals, although if you watch the second game in that series, there was 6 fights in like 4 minutes. It was crazy. There was lots going on here. So the Rangers did respond to that, especially when they were called, soft or gutless or whatever the names might be for not responding to Wilson. Wilson has said, look, he doesn't understand why this has been blown up the way that it has. And of course, someone like Wilson's going to say that. He clearly has some behavioral issues on the ice. A fantastic player, but just doesn't seem to learn anything. So what will the Rangers do? Well, it looks like Jack Eichel's probably going to be in that picture at some point. They've had conversations in the past. Elliot Friedman said that the Rangers and Buffalo Sabres had spoken before about Eichel, that they made an offer to Buffalo. Buffalo decided essentially not to make the trade, but I'm sure the Sabres are going to look at Jack Eichel again this offseason and whether or not to move him and reshape the team. The Rangers are going to be in on that conversation. But do they kind of steer away from their rebuild and go after a guy like Eichel? Because it's going to cost a lot of money. It'll change their salary cap, and it's going to cost some players, which the Rangers had some pretty good young prospects coming up through the system. I can't imagine anybody like Alexi Lafreniere is going to be moved in a deal like that, but Capo Caco, something like that, you never know, right? So it'll be very interesting to see what the Rangers do. As for John Davidson, I'm sure he'll find work somewhere. Jeff Gordon will probably find work somewhere. There's going to be a lot of teams looking for GMs and senior advisors in the executive roles. Those guys aren't going to be out of work for long. Some talk that Pekka Rinne might leave the NHL after this season. If it's not given an offer by the Predators, it sounds like he might be returning or going to Finland. There's some negotiations, active conversations as reported. And Nicholas Jarmilson from the Arizona Coyotes is a player that could be leaving the NHL and going somewhere else, international hockey. He's never really been one of those guys to ask for a ton of money. He's always sort of signed an extension with the team he's currently with before he's even coming up due. Sounds like he might be moving on, but we'll see. You never know. He could stay in Arizona. But there's lots of talk going on there. Some injury news out of Toronto. Lots of playoff talk and speculation, but we'll get into all of that next week as the playoffs roll around. We'll keep you updated on Connor McDavid's 100-point campaign. He's only, 4 points away. He could get it tonight against Vancouver on Saturday Night Hockey, so we'll see where that goes. We'll keep you up to speed on all of that next week. Don't forget, go to thehockeyraiders.com. You can follow us at the Twitter, the Hockey Raider, on Twitter at the Hockey Raider. Way over there in the corner, facebook.com/the Hockey Raiders. And you can go to my articles, news and rumors, every day on thehockeyraiders.com. So stay tuned for another video. We'll talk to you guys soon, and enjoy the weekend of hockey. And hopefully your team is in the playoffs. And if not, hopefully there'll be some changes to get there next year. See you guys.